Good afternoon, guys. Aaron Dorr here, Executive Director of the New York State Firearms Association. Guys, with a breaking news update for gun owners and the fight for gun rights here in Albany. I'm going to wait for a little bit, let this video get populated. We're going to start a watch party right now on my other phone, if I can do it successfully. As you guys get logged in, tell us where you're watching from. Post your comments in the comment section. Your comments help the video be seen by more gun owners, and that's always our goal, is to get more gun owners involved in the work of this organization. I want to do an audio check as well. If you guys can hear me okay, I want to check on that before I begin this video. Last time it was a little bit windy, and I apologize for that. But guys, give me an audio check, and we're going to get this watch party going. And once we have that done, we are going to kick off this broadcast. Getting this watch party a couple seconds away. If you guys want to host a watch party for us as well, helps the video be seen by more people. We'd love to have that happen. I see David says, sounding good. Very good. Nice to know when the audio is okay. Okay. All right, guys. So what we're talking about here for the last couple of weeks now on these videos is the status on the fight for gun rights in New York State. And we talked about the fact that with the Rifle and Pistol Association supporting versions of this horrible America-hating governor's bid to make 80% lowers illegal, that's a huge problem. Other organizations that are more principled haven't been seen in the Capitol, where I'm standing right now, in years and years and years. And so the whole fight for gun rights in our great state needs to be overhauled. And one of the ways that we're going to be engaged in doing that is giving gun owners a pro-gun bill to get behind for a change. You see, we want to know where all these lawmakers stand. And we have a good idea, but when it comes to them supporting a good bill, it helps us know where these lawmakers stand. And one of the ways we're going to be doing that is working on Stand Your Ground law. Now, guys, I've had the privilege to work for gun rights organizations across the country that have passed Stand Your Ground law over the last couple of years. I've worked in Iowa, which passed this bill in 2017. Missouri passed Stand Your Ground law in a fight I was engaged in 2016, and Wyoming passed it just in 2018. So we know a lot about how to best craft this legislation. And what I have here, guys, is our final draft of this bill. And I'm going to break this down for you guys in this broadcast bit by bit so you guys can see what exactly we're doing to fight for gun owners here in Albany, where I'm at right now. I'm outside today because, for God's sakes, it's 54 degrees and thereabouts, and I wasn't going to get stuck inside another moment. So I'm going to be doing this video outside today. So again, Stand Your Ground law, guys. As you know, guys, right now in this state, it doesn't matter if you're in public, like the sidewalk over here behind me, if you're in your own home even, the law currently expects you to retreat if you are attacked by a criminal. It doesn't matter if you are in your own living room. Now, I know we have folks here who are going to try and challenge me, but I'm going to tell you what the law says. That if you can safely do so, you are expected to retreat even in your own home. Even in your own home. And of course, out in public, where I'm at right now, here in Albany, in the Capitol grounds, there is no protection whatsoever for gun owners. And so what that allows prosecutors to do then, in bluish counties, is to prosecute the gun owner who is the victim of the crime in the first place, because before you took defensive action, you didn't back up a certain number of steps. I mean, it's absolutely asinine. It's asinine, but that is the law right now. And so the bill we're going to have introduced, and guys, it's probably going to be filed this week, and it's going to be filed in both chambers. And you're going to love the list of co-sponsors and sponsors that we're going to have on this bill. And also, we're going to have this bill available on our website, maybe yet this week, if not for sure the week after. It's going to be available on our website. You can look at it, download it, tear it to pieces. Tear it to pieces. Look for holes in it. We welcome all your criticisms, welcome all of your questions about the bill, because we want to make the best effort possible, make the best bill that we possibly can here in New York State, here in Albany. Got the groundskeepers here that are riding around with their ATVs. So again, to start off, the default position that we have in this state is that we have to retreat. That even in our own home, if somebody attacks us in our own home, we are expected to retreat. That is current law in New York State. The very first thing we're going to do with this bill draft on page 2 is to remove, the current code says, even in such cases, this is referring to attacks in your home, the actor may not use deadly physical force if he or she knows that with complete personal safety, they may avoid the necessity of doing so by retreating. I don't know about you, but there is no way with a criminal breaking into my home in the middle of the night, there's no way for me to know with complete safety I can retreat. If I go outside, does he have more of his people outside the house? Are there folks outside waiting to ambush myself, my loved ones there? This idea that we can know what we can't possibly know is asinine. So that first section is coming out immediately. It's gone. Under this proposal, you would never again have to retreat out of your own home for heaven's sake before using defensive force. But it goes beyond that. That is the castle concept. Castle doctrine covers your home. And in most states, it covers your office and it covers your car. Here in New York, it only talks about your home. But again, even in your home, you have to retreat if you can do so safely. That's going to be gone. But from there, it's going to extend those protections to any place that you are lawfully present. Any place you're lawfully present. That's going to be found on page 3. Any other place that he or she is lawfully permitted. And so if you are lawfully present coming out of the library, if you're coming out of the grocery store, if you're at your office, if your company allows you to carry, if you're coming out of your church, coming out of Costco, driving down the road in your car, out for a walk with your family, any place you're lawfully present would not have to, you'd have to retreat in those areas. I'm reading some of the questions here. Andrew says, does the final version have castle provisions? So yes, Andrew, it's all about that. We're going to take castle and we're going to expand it. So we're going to remove the current law that requires you to retreat in your own home to clarify that portion of castle. But in most states, castle doctrine includes your car and your business. And we're going to do that and incorporate all of that and every other place you are in this great state, as long as you are lawfully present. So it's going to be castle doctrine with the addition of any place we are lawfully present. And so there's never going to be again a situation where you have to wonder, well, gosh, I mean, can I use defensive force here? Can I use it here? As long as you're not a criminal, right? As long as you're lawfully present, you would have no requirement to retreat because you're lawfully present. At the same time, guys, that code section requiring you to be lawfully present, that means that no criminal, despite what the media is going to say, or what all these crazy Cuomo nut jobs behind me here in the Capitol are going to say, despite what they say, nobody can use this language as justification for committing a criminal action. A criminal can never claim this protection, for example, because he or she would not be lawfully present. You're not lawfully present when you're holding the knife above your hand trying to take away, my wallet here in Albany. You're not lawfully present when you're breaking into my car when I'm driving down the road. You're not lawfully present when you're breaking in my home. You have to be lawfully present to claim these stand your ground law protections. And so it's going to be a great thing for gun owners, and criminals could never use it as defense in a criminal case. We're going to then clarify later on page 3 that retreat is not even a part of the conversation in a court of law. We want to make sure that the jury is never told that they can consider your retreat or lack thereof as part of your guilt. It's going to say on page 3, the court shall instruct the jury that they shall not be permitted to consider the possibility of a retreat as a factor in determining whether the person who used deadly force did so in a necessary manner. And so you would not be able to have a jury hang you out to dry because some anti-gun prosecutor says you could have retreated. That's going to come out with this language. But perhaps one of the biggest benefits to this bill is the immunity provisions. It's the immunity provisions. You see, what we have in certain jurisdictions in the state right now, and it depends on where you are. It depends on where you are. You get your bluish counties, you got your reddish counties, and you have everything else in between. Depending upon where you are, and where you're forced to use your firearm in a defensive situation. In some counties, if someone is lying there dead on the ground, the criminal, because you shot him, because he had a gun or he had a knife and he was trying to kill you, in many areas right now, because you're the guy standing and he is the guy laying on the ground in a pool of blood, which he deserved, you're going to be arrested just because. Or they'll say, let the courts sort this out. And that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. A gun owner who uses self-defense, defensive force rather, in a justifiable way should not have to worry about being arrested just because. And so what this would say, a person who is justified in threatening or using physical force against another person in defense of himself, herself, another person, shall be immune from criminal and civil liability for any damages incurred by the aggressor pursuant to the application of reasonable physical force. And so we don't want to see a situation where somebody is arrested just because. If somebody broke the law, if there's probable cause that you broke the law, we should be arrested. That's the way it works. But this bill would remove the concept of you being arrested just because there is somebody who has been shot. Some people, some criminals, when they're trying to take away your life or that of your loved ones, they have to be shot for you to defend yourself. You can't always control these outcomes, but you shouldn't be arrested just because somebody has been harmed through your justifiable use of force. The other issue, though, is that in many cases, when you survive the initial attack by the criminal, right, and you survive the legal aftermath, maybe you're never prosecuted because you were justifiable, or maybe you went to trial and were found not guilty. In many cases, the problem that we have in New York and across the country in states that don't have this protection is that criminal, if he's still alive, or his estate, if he's dead, can then take you to civil court. And they can bankrupt you with some $10 million BS lawsuit just because they can. Just because they can. And this bill says right here that as long as your force was justified, as long as you used appropriate, reasonable, justifiable force, you are immune. And that's not up to us to decide. It's in the eyes of the court. So if your force was justified in the eyes of the court, you could not be drug into civil court with some BS lawsuit. We all know how dangerous that is, and it's happened all across the country. Under this stand your ground law bill here, guys, that will not happen in this state. We're also going to cover the threatened use of force. The threatened use of force. You know, right now, even if you own your handgun legally, you have your permit, all your ducks are in a row, right now, if you draw that firearm, hell, in certain areas, if you even refer to the fact that you are armed, criminals can, have, and will contact the authorities, and they can come after you then for a brandishing charge or a menacing charge or some sort of an assault charge. I was talking to a state senator in the LLB here beside me 3 weeks ago in his office talking about this stand your ground law bill, and he told me how his father, in his late 70s, 2 years ago, was arrested. He was arrested because one of the tenants at one of the rental properties that he owns was getting out of control, and this guy in his late 70s told this criminal, he said, "Hey, I'm armed, so back off and leave me alone," right? And because he said that, didn't draw his gun, didn't aim his gun, didn't even touch his handgun, because he said he was able to defend himself, he was arrested by the authorities, and it lasted about a year. He actually wasn't prosecuted when it was all said and done, but he went through hell for about 12 months in his late 70s because there's no protection currently in the code for the threatened use of force. That is going to be fixed, guys, in this bill draft. So if you are justified in using defensive physical force, you should also then be justified in using the threatened use of force. The idea here is very simple. We want to see these de-escalations. You know, if the guy comes at you and you draw your firearm and he runs away, that's what we want, right? We want to have that protection, though, in place so that when he runs away, you know, wets his pants and he calls the police, you're not going to be prosecuted for threatening him because you are justified in using the threat of force to stop the attack that was about to take place against you. Okay, moving on. It says, this is the part that deals with when you can be arrested. No person shall be arrested pursuant to this section for a use of force unless the police officer believes that there is probable cause to find that the use of force was not justified under Article 35 of the penal law. And so again, no one's tying the hands of law enforcement here at all. They can conduct their investigation, as they should. But if there's no probable cause you broke the law, you shouldn't be arrested. And again, the problem we're trying to avoid here is that just in case arrest, where they're not quite sure, they don't know what to say, you have a guy laying there who's dead, right? There's somebody else here, who used that defensive force. We want to make sure that you're not arrested just because. Just because. I'm reading some of the comments here. Slow process in the right direction, says Gio. Yeah. This is where it starts, and we're going to discuss the politics behind this in a moment. So hang on here. We're also going to cover a pre-trial immunity hearing for your criminal side. So if you're going to go to court and you're going to plead, not guilty, let's say, if that's what you do, you could then petition the court to have a pre-trial hearing right then and there and say, Your Honor, I affirmed I used this force appropriately, in my opinion. I was under attack. I used defensive force. The evidence bears that out, and I want this case to be dismissed. And if the state can't prove the basic elements of the case against you, you could then have the case dismissed. Because it's not very helpful to us as gun owners if we go through the entire court process and then on appeal can invoke stand your ground law. It has to happen up front. And the same thing is true with the civil immunity provision. If a judge grants a civil case against you, even though you are not found criminally negligible in a criminal action, you could also have a pre-trial civil immunity hearing. Same thing. Your Honor, I used defensive force. It was justified. The criminal court has agreed with me. The facts are obvious. I'd ask you to dismiss this case. And if that suspect, that criminal or his estate, cannot prove a basic level of case against you, that case then would be dismissed in court as well. And so guys, these are the main component parts, if you will, of this Stand Your Ground Law bill. It is an amazing step forward in this fight, because it allows us now, and here's the political backdrop of this, it allows us to see who is on our side. To see who is on our side. We know who is not on our side, right? We know Cuomo hates us. We know he hates America. We know he hates gun owners. We know he's a sick puppy. We know that. What we don't know, however, is who is exactly on our side as gun owners. This bill, which is about to be unveiled in both chambers, guys, the Assembly and the Senate, is going to help us figure that out. It's going to help us figure out who is on our side and who is not. And in coming videos and coming Facebook posts, we're going to have a campaign for you guys to automatically email your lawmakers and say, hey, I want you to co-sponsor Stand Your Ground Law in Albany so I can see who's good and who's bad when it comes to my right to defend myself. We're not talking about when you can own guns. We're not talking about how you can buy guns here. We're not talking about what kind of guns you can own. We're not even changing the current laws on the use of force. We're simply saying if you legally own a firearm, and you are justified in using defensive force under the current law, you should not have to retreat first. If you guys like this, give me a thumbs up, because this is law right now, just so you know, in 36 states across the country. 36 states have passed it by either legislation, like this here, or by jury instructions, or by case law. 36 states have this. 36 states. In fact, it's kind of funny. When he was a state senator, Barack Obama voted to expand and enhance Illinois' self-defense laws to incorporate much of what you're hearing about in this bill as a state lawmaker in Springfield, Illinois, way back when. And so this is the fight that we're going to be engaged in on the offensive side. I'm getting some of the questions here about the 80% lowers, the mental health gun control bills. We're going to address all of that, guys, in future videos. That fight is well underway here in Albany. Thousands of you have already fired off your emails opposing this dreadful mental health gun control bill. But I want you guys to see the offensive side we can go on. I want you guys to know that there is pro-gun bills that we can get behind for a change and actually push these guys to go in the right direction, not always react to Cuomo, not always have to be on defense. We're going to do that too, but we have to begin to draw a line and push forward, or these attacks will never stop. They will never stop. And so the 80% lower bill is a big problem. We're going to address that again in future emails and future updates. For the record, guys, as a side note, if you're not getting our emails, you are missing out in a big way. And all you have to do to get those is go to NYSFA, that's our acronym, NYSFAupdates.com to opt in to receive our emails. Takes you about 5 seconds. Your name, and that's it. Your name, zip code, and your phone number and your email address to opt in to receive our messages. It takes seconds. But all of our emails have advocacy programs and tools that you guys can use to make your voice heard here in Albany. That's part of the problem that we have right now. We have the organizations that used to be leading this fight before they endorsed gun control and all the rest of this stupid stuff. They didn't give you guys the tools that you have to make your voice heard. That's what our entire program is about, is empowering you guys with online digital advocacy tools that you need to thunder into this building here behind me with your calls, your emails, your tweets, your video messages to make your voice heard. Because that has not been heard in a long time. Your voice has not been heard in a long time. I've had 40 meetings in the LOB, which is right over here beside me. This is the Capitol here behind me. And in case you don't know, this is the LOB, Legislative Offices building over here beside me off to the side. I've had 40 meetings or more with lawmakers over the last couple of weeks. I hear the same thing all the time. This is the first time, they say, in years, that a pro-gun lobbyist, a pro-gun organization has set foot in my door. It's the first time in years they've been asked to get behind a pro-gun bill. It's the first time in years they've been asked to take a stand for gun owners. So if you're giving money, guys, to another organization, especially, God forbid, a national organization that's not even located in New York State, you got to ask yourself, what in the hell am I getting for my money? They're never here in the Capitol. They're never over there in the LOB. And all the lawmakers we talked to have confirmed that. And so first of all, guys, the first thing you should do is sign up to receive our email updates. And again, that is NYSFAupdates.com. Again, NYSFAupdates.com to sign up and receive our action alerts. Every one of those action alerts contains information you need for the fight for gun rights here in Albany and easy to use action steps you can take to make sure your voice is heard. We have to begin to re-engage gun owners. That's number one. Number two, guys, is to make sure if you're a member of this organization, thank you so much. And by the way, over the weekend we assembled, I think, 400 new member packets. If you have a t-shirt coming, guys, your shirt is en route. If you have a membership card coming, your membership card is en route. Your decals are coming. It's all coming, guys, in the mail. It got shipped out today, so be watching your mailbox over the next 2-3 days across the state for your membership packets. If you're not yet a member, though, guys, go to joinnysfa.com. That's joinnysfa.com to be involved in this fight. Again, this is the way it is in Albany right now. There is almost zero pro-gun presence being felt on the ground here in Albany other than this organization, the New York State Firearms Association. Every single lawmaker has told me they haven't heard from a gun rights organization in years. We're going to change that. We're going to show the hell up. That's number one. Number two, we're going to engage you guys, give gun owners a chance to engage their lawmakers rather again. Give you guys the tools you need, the digital advocacy tools you need to make your voice heard. We're going to be doing that. We're going to be active as hell pushing Stand Your Ground law, the bill I just discussed in detail. That's going to be a big part of our program this year. We're going to be pushing back on all the crazy gun control Cuomo is moving here, or trying to move here in Albany. And then, guys, perhaps most important of all, number 5, in the election season, we are going to engage again. There's been so many election cycles where all the other organizations who have taken all this money out of this great state have done nothing at election time. This is our chance. With President Trump on the ballot this fall and every single lawmaker here up for election this fall, this is our time to remind these anti-gun, America-hating, crazy socialists that you will pay a price if you fight against our gun rights, especially if you're in one of these vulnerable districts, and there's just so many of them. So guys, there's never been more to be excited about when it comes to the fight for gun rights being re-engaged here in Albany. Get involved in this fight, guys. Sign up for our email updates. Again, that's NYSFAupdates.com. Memberships are available at joinnysfa.com, guys. Share this video. And again, in future videos, we're going to give you guys the link that you need to email your lawmakers and say, hey, get on this bill. Co-sponsor, senior ground law. It's going to be in both chambers. That's all coming, guys. In the meantime, share this video. We'll be in touch. You guys have a great day. Thanks.